The Battle of Kryn Station lasted 6 hours. The wreckage would orbit the dead station for centuries. Commander Hyun watched the recordings from Earth Command headquarters. His hands gripped the edges of the table until his knuckles turned white. The numbers were impossible. The Council had sent 10,000 ships, their best warships from a dozen different species. They came in waves coordinated by the finest military minds the galaxy had to offer. They lost 4,000 ships before they retreated. On the screen, Council battleships fired everything they had: nuclear missiles, plasma cannons, graviton beams. The weapons passed through Mirai's ships like they were ghosts. Then her ships would become solid again for just a moment, long enough to fire back. And when they fired, Council ships simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. Just there 1 second and gone the next. "She's not bluffing," said General Hana from across the table. The old woman had fought in 3 wars. Hyun had never seen fear in her eyes before today. "That fleet of hers can destroy everything, every world, every station. We have nothing that can stop her." "What about Earth?" asked Representative Sunho. He was young for a council representative, too young to remember when humanity was weak. "What do our people think?" "They're divided," Hana admitted. "Half see Mirai as a victim fighting back. The other half sees her as a monster. The protests are getting violent. 3 cities are under martial law." Hyun stood up and paced the room. His mind wouldn't stop racing. "The council wants us to denounce her, to join their side and fight her." "And if we refuse?" Sunho asked. "Then they'll cut all trade agreements. No more access to council space. No more protected routes. We'll be isolated. It could destroy our economy." "But if we fight her," Hana said quietly, "we'll be fighting our own people, descendants of colonists we failed to save. How do you think that will look to history?" Hyun stopped pacing. "I need to talk to her, face to face." "She won't listen," Sunho said. "She's made that clear. Maybe she won't, but I have to try." Hyun turned to face them. "Give me a ship, a small one, no weapons. I'll surrender myself to her fleet. If she kills me, at least we tried diplomacy." "And if she just captures you?" Hana asked. "Then maybe I can learn something useful. Maybe I can find a weakness. Or maybe I can make her understand that revenge won't heal 300 years of pain." 3 days later, Hyun piloted a small shuttle toward the coordinates where Mirai's flagship was last seen. His hands were steady on the controls. His heart was not. "Unknown vessel, you are entering restricted space," came a voice over the radio. "Turn back or be destroyed." "I am Commander Hyun of Earth Defense Fleet," he said clearly. "I request an audience with Queen Mirai. I come unarmed and alone." Silence then. "Hold position." 5 warships appeared around him. They were massive up close. Their hulls were covered in strange symbols that seemed to shift and move. The shuttle's sensors couldn't get a clear reading. The ships existed in normal space and somewhere else at the same time. "You will be brought aboard the Eternal Requiem," the voice said. "Any aggressive action will result in immediate death. Do you accept these terms?" "I accept." A beam of light shot from the nearest ship and wrapped around his shuttle. Hyun felt a strange pulling sensation. Then he was moving impossibly fast. The stars blurred. Reality seemed to bend. When his vision cleared, he was in a massive hangar bay. Soldiers surrounded his shuttle the moment he opened the door. They wore black armor and carried weapons he didn't recognize, but their faces were human. Young faces. Hard faces. Faces that had known violence since childhood. "This way," said the lead soldier. Her name patch read, Nari. "The Queen will see you in the war room." They led him through corridors that seemed alive. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. The floor was warm under his feet. Crew members passed by without looking at him. They moved with military precision, but also with something else. Purpose, unity. These weren't conscripts or mercenaries. These were true believers. The war room was smaller than Hyun expected. A round table sat in the center with holographic displays floating above it. Maps of council space, fleet positions, target priorities, and sitting at the head of the table was Queen Mirai. She looked tired. That was the first thing Hyun noticed. Her armor was off, replaced by a simple gray uniform. Her hair was pulled back. Without the dramatic lighting and camera angles, she looked like any other human woman. Except for her eyes. They held centuries of pain. "Commander Hyun," she said, "you're either very brave or very stupid." "Maybe both," Hyun admitted. He didn't sit. "Not yet. I came to understand you." "Understand me?" She laughed. "You want to understand 300 years of suffering? 300 years of fighting to survive every single day? Go ahead. Try. I want to understand what you really want. Revenge? Justice, or just acknowledgement?" Mireille stood and walked to the holographic map. She waved her hand and images appeared. Faces. Thousands of them. "These are the people who died in the first 10 years. My ancestors. I know all their names. Every child who starved. Every parent who fought monsters with bare hands. Every elder who chose death so the young could have their food rations. Do you know how many council members can name even one of them?" "No," Hyun admitted. "Zero. Because to them we never existed. We were an acceptable loss. A number in a report that no one ever read." She touched one face in particular. An old woman with kind eyes. "This was first Queen Bora, my grandmother. She was 16 when the ship crashed. She watched her baby sister die in her arms. Do you know what that does to a person?" Hyun shook his head. "It makes them understand that mercy is a luxury. That survival means doing terrible things. Bora led our people through the worst years. She made the hard choices. She created the warrior culture that kept us alive. And she made me promise on her deathbed that our people would never be forgotten again. Never be dismissed again. Never be considered acceptable losses again." "So this is about being remembered?" Hyun asked gently. "This is about making sure the galaxy can never forget what they did, and making sure they can never do it again to anyone else. By destroying worlds, by killing billions who had nothing to do with the original crime. The council is built on consensus," Mireille said. "Every member species agreed to our elimination. Some gave orders, others stayed silent. Silence is complicity. They all bear responsibility. Not the civilians, not the children. The council didn't care about our children. And that makes you just like them." Mireille's hand moved to a weapon at her side. For a moment, Hyun thought he was about to die. Then she stopped, took a breath, sat back down. "Get out," she said quietly. "Leave before I forget why I let you live. Mireille, Queen Mireille, and you need to leave. Now. Because Admiral Taman will be here soon and he doesn't believe in talking to outsiders. He believes in the old ways, the ways of the nebula, where the only good enemy is a dead enemy." The doors burst open. A man in black armor strode in with a dozen soldiers behind him. He was tall and heavily scarred. His eyes burned with fanatic intensity. "My queen," Admiral Taman said. His voice was like gravel. "Why is this council dog still breathing?" "I'm questioning him," Mireille said calmly. "Question him with a blade. That's the only conversation traitors deserve." Taman pointed at Hyun. "He represents the same Earth that abandoned us, the same humanity that forgot us. He deserves the same fate as the council." "I make those decisions," Mireille said. Her voice turned cold. "Not you." "You've gone soft," Taman said. He stepped closer. His hand was on his weapon. "Your grandmother would be ashamed. We didn't survive 300 years of hell to negotiate with our enemies. We survived to destroy them." The tension in the room was like a physical thing. The soldiers behind Taman were watching their admiral. The soldiers behind Mireille were watching their queen. Hyun realized he was witnessing something dangerous. A fracture in what he thought was a united force. "Commander Hyun," Mireille said without taking her eyes off Taman, "you need to leave. Captain Nari will escort you back to your shuttle. Go now." Hyun wanted to argue, wanted to say something that would help, but he could see this was bigger than him now. This was about control of the Death Fleet, And if Taemin won, there would be no more negotiations. No more chances for peace, just extinction. As Nari led him away, Hyun heard shouting begin behind them, then alarms. The ship shut. The explosion threw Hyun against the wall. Emergency lights flashed red. The ship's artificial gravity flickered on and off. Captain Nari grabbed his arm and pulled him forward. "Move," she shouted. "Taemin's forces have taken engineering." They ran through corridors filled with smoke. Crew members rushed past them, some toward the fighting, others away from it. Hyun heard weapons fire echoing through the metal halls. Then screaming. Too much screaming. "Where's Mirai?" he asked as they ran. "The Queen evacuated from the bridge. Taemin locked it down before we could stop him. He has control of 6 warships, including the flagship." Nari pulled him around a corner. "We need to get you to the escape pods." "I'm not leaving without her. She's not your concern anymore, Commander." "Yes, she is. Because if Taemin takes control of that fleet, everyone dies. Your people, my people, the entire galaxy." Nari stopped running. She looked at him with hard eyes, then nodded. "The Queen is in the secondary command center. Section 9, follow me and stay quiet." They took maintenance tunnels to avoid the fighting. Through grates in the floor, Hyun could see battles raging on the decks below, soldiers in black armor fighting each other. The same uniforms, the same faces, brother killing brother over ideology. Section 9 was heavily guarded. Soldiers with weapons tracked them as they approached. But Nari gave some kind of hand signal, and they were allowed through. Inside, Mirai stood over a holographic table with a dozen officers. Her face was covered in soot. Blood stained her uniform. "Captain Nari," she said without looking up, "I told you to evacuate all non-essential personnel." The commander insisted on staying. Now Mirai looked at him. Stupid, but noted. "Can you fly a warship?" "What?" Hyun blinked. "I can pilot fighters. Small vessels. But something the size of good enough. Taemin has 6 ships. I have 12 still loyal. But he's better at this than I am. He was born in the nebula. Raised on war stories. I'm just a queen trying to hold a broken nation together." "What's his end goal?" Hyun asked. "Where is he taking those ships?" "To finish what I started. Except he won't stop with the council leadership. He'll sterilize every planet that opposed us, starting with Citadel Prime. 3 billion people live there. Taemin doesn't care. He thinks they all deserve death." Officer Doyen looked up from his console. His face was pale. "My queen, you need to see this. It's about the void crystals." "Not now, Doyen. No, you really need to see this. It's important." "It explains everything." Mirai walked over. Hyun followed. The screen showed complex data that meant nothing to him at first. Then Doyen simplified it, and Hyun felt cold. "The void crystals aren't just power sources," Doyen said. His voice shook. "They're alive, or parts of something that was alive. An entity, something vast and old that exists between dimensions. Our ancestors found pieces of it. Fragments that got trapped in normal space millions of years ago." "So?" Mirai asked. "We've used them for 3 centuries. They've never shown signs of consciousness. Because they were dormant. But every time we use them in battle, we feed them. Violence, anger, death, that's what wakes them up. That's what makes them stronger." Doyen pulled up another screen. "I've been monitoring energy signatures. Every major battle, the crystals get more active, more aware. If Taemin uses those 6 ships to destroy Citadel Prime, the feedback will—" He stopped. "Couldn't say it. Will what?" Hyun demanded. "It will free the entity. The whole thing. It will pour into our dimension and consume everything. Every planet. Every sun. Every living thing. The galaxy will become its feeding ground." Silence filled the room. Outside, the battle raged on. But in here, everyone understood they were facing something worse than civil war. Worse than genocide. They were facing extinction of all life itself. "Can we shut down the crystals?" Mirai asked. "Stop them from being used?" "Yes, there's a master shutdown code built into the system. Your grandmother created it as a failsafe, but using it requires authorization from the Queen, and—" Doyen hesitated. "It will kill you." "What?" "You're cybernetically linked to the fleet. The void crystal network runs through your neural implants. Shutting it down means overloading your brain. You'll die instantly." Mirai closed her eyes, took a breath. When she opened them, they were clear. "Then that's what I'll do." "No," Hyun said. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." This is what I deserve anyway. I built this fleet. I armed it with weapons we didn't understand. I let my anger guide me instead of my reason. Now I pay the price. Your grandmother didn't create you to be a martyr, Hyun argued. She created you to protect your people, and they need you alive. My people need to survive. That's more important than one life. Listen to me, Hyun said urgently. I'm a pilot. I know ships. If we can create a feedback loop in the crystal network, we can shut them down without using the master code. But someone needs to manually detonate a reactor at the center of Taemin's fleet. The cascade effect will spread to all the crystals, shut them down permanently. That's a suicide mission, Nari said. Yes, but it's my suicide mission, not hers. Mirai grabbed his arm. Why would you do this? You owe us nothing. We threatened your people, your worlds. We're the enemy. No, Hyun said gently. You're victims who became survivors who became warriors. That's not the same as being evil. And I won't let you destroy yourself when there's another way. He's right, said Lieutenant Jiwon. She stepped forward from the corner, where she'd been watching silently. Hyun had almost forgotten she was there. She was his second in command aboard the Horizon. He'd thought she was dead in the fighting. I'll go with him. Increase his chances. Jiwon, Hyun started. No arguments, sir. You taught me that leaders sacrifice for their people. Now let me prove I learned that lesson. Mirai looked at them both, at these humans from old Earth who had nothing to gain and everything to lose, who were willing to die for people they barely knew. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. You'll need a ship, she said, a fast one that can get through Taemin's defenses. And you'll need coordinates to his flagship. I can get the coordinates, Doyen said. But the ship, take mine, Mirai said. My personal vessel. It's small, but it's the fastest thing we have. And it has authorization codes that will let you get close before they realize what you're doing. Alarms blared. The ship shook again. Taemin's fleet is jumping to light speed, reported one of the officers. Heading toward Citadel Prime. They'll arrive in 4 hours. Then we need to move now, Hyun said. He looked at Mirai. Can you contact the council? Tell them what's happening. They need to evacuate the planet. They won't listen to me. They'll listen to both of us, together, because this isn't about old Earth versus the lost colony anymore. This is about all of us surviving the mistake we all made, using power we didn't understand because we were too angry to care about the consequences. Mirai reached out. Hyun took her hand. Two humans separated by 3 centuries of history, united by understanding that revenge was easier than wisdom, and that sometimes the hardest battle was the one against your own pain. Let's save the galaxy, she said. Then figure out how to live in it. They ran for the hangar. Behind them, the ship continued to tear itself apart. Ahead of them, a madman raced toward 3 billion innocent lives, and deep in the heart of every void crystal, something ancient. The council chamber was built to inspire peace. Its walls were made of transparent crystal that showed the stars beyond. Representatives from 30 different species sat in a circle, each in their own specially designed seat. Humans had only 3 seats. The Saurians had 12. Commander Hyun stood in the center and watched Ambassador Tavik approach. The Saurian was old, with scales that had turned gray with age. He moved slowly, his tail dragging behind him, but his eyes were sharp and calculating. Commander Hyun, Tavik said in his raspy voice, you have caused quite the disturbance. The council is most displeased. The council has bigger problems than my unauthorized investigation, Hyun replied. He pulled out a data chip and tossed it onto the central table. Queen Mirai gave me this before I left. You should watch it. All of you should. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed the bridge of a dying ship. Alarms screamed. People ran in panic. A man in a captain's uniform was shouting orders. The image quality was poor, damaged by time and radiation. This is Captain Minho of the colony ship New Dawn, the recording said. Our engines have failed. All backup systems are dead. We're being pulled into the Ashara Nebula by gravity wells we can't escape. This wasn't an accident. Someone sabotaged us. I found the device attached to our main reactor. It was designed to fail exactly when we reached this point in space. The recording jumped forward. Now the captain looked older. His face was covered in blood and dirt. Behind him fires burned. It's been 60 days. We've crashed on a planet inside the nebula. The storms prevent any communication with the outside. 15,000 are dead. The survivors are scattered across 3 crash sites. We found something here, ruins, very old ones, and crystals that glow with energy we don't understand. If anyone ever finds this, know that we tried to survive. Know that someone wanted us dead." The recording ended. The council chamber was silent. "Lies," Tavik said finally. "Obvious fabrications. The woman is trying to justify her aggression." "Is she?" Hyun pulled out another chip. "Because she gave me more, much more. Here are the communications between council members dated exactly 3 weeks before the New Dawn launched. Should I play them?" Tavik's scales turned pale. Other council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The human representatives leaned forward with expressions of growing horror. Hyun played the second recording. It was audio only. The voices were distorted but understandable. "The humans are expanding too fast. Every year they claim new worlds. Every year they grow stronger. We should limit their colony permits when that won't be enough. They breed like insects. Even with limits, they will outnumber us in 3 generations. Then we must take more direct action. The Dahan Initiative is their largest colonial effort. 50,000 of their best and brightest. If that mission fails tragically, they will slow down. They will become cautious. You suggest murder? I suggest survival. Better 50,000 humans die in an accident than 50 billion challenge our authority later." The recording ended. Hyun looked around the chamber. Several representatives were standing now. The human delegation was shouting. Others were trying to call for order. "These recordings prove nothing," Tavik said, but his voice shook. "They could be altered, faked. We would need to verify." "Verify what?" Hyun interrupted. "That your people tried to commit genocide? That the council conspired to murder civilians? 50,000 people, Ambassador. Children, babies, all dead because you were afraid." "We did what we had to do," Tavik shouted. His composure finally broke. "You humans came from nowhere. One moment you were primitives burning fossil fuels, the next you were demanding seats at our table. We gave you 1 world. You took a dozen. We granted you 1 trade route. You built an empire. What were we supposed to do? Let you consume the galaxy?" The chamber exploded with noise. Representatives were screaming at each other. Security guards moved forward. Hyun just stood there and let the chaos wash over him. Then every screen in the chamber changed. Queen Mirai appeared on all of them. She was standing on the bridge of her flagship. Behind her, officers worked at stations that looked nothing like human technology. "Members of the Galactic Council," Mirai said. Her voice cut through the noise like a knife. "I am broadcasting this message to every inhabited world in known space. In the next few minutes, billions will hear what I have to say. This is a violation of—" Someone started to shout. "Silence," Mirai said softly. The word carried weight. "You don't get to talk anymore. You get to listen. 300 years ago, your council decided my people were inconvenient. You sabotaged our ship. You tried to make us disappear. You succeeded. For 3 centuries we were ghosts, lost and forgotten." The view screen behind her changed. It showed images from the first years. Crashed ships, makeshift shelters, graves, so many graves. "My people died by the thousands," Mirai continued. "Starvation, disease, alien predators, we had no weapons to fight. My great-grandmother watched her children starve. My grandmother grew up in ruins, learning to kill before she learned to read. We suffered in ways you cannot imagine, and we survived." The images changed again. Now they showed the crystals. Massive formations that glowed with inner light. Workers in protective suits harvested them carefully. "We found the void crystals, ancient technology left by a dead civilization. We learned to use them. We built new ships, better ships. We explored the nebula and found more lost colonies, not human. Other species the council threw away when they became troublesome. We united them. We grew strong together, and we planned our return." The image shifted to show her fleet. Hundreds of warships in perfect formation. "I gave the council 7 days to surrender those responsible. That was 6 days ago. They have 1 day remaining. If they refuse, I will begin my judgment. The Saurian homeworld will burn first, then the Vrex colonies, then the Talus stations. I will destroy 1 world every day until justice is served, or until I run out of worlds, whichever comes first." "You can't do this," Ambassador Tavik said. "We have fleets, armies. You are 1 small nation against the combined might of the galaxy." Mirai smiled. It was a terrible smile. "You still don't understand. Let me show you what 300 years of desperate survival creates. The view screen split. It showed a council battle fleet moving to intercept one of her ships. Thousands of warships against one. The council fleet opened fire. Missiles and energy beams filled space. The Ashara ship didn't try to dodge. The weapons passed right through it like it wasn't there. Then the ship fired back. A single beam of purple light shot out. It touched a council battleship and the entire vessel collapsed into a point of light. Gone. Just gone. Void crystal weapons don't obey your physics, Myra explained. We can phase our ships between dimensions. We can create miniature black holes. We can tear apart the fabric of space itself. Your numbers mean nothing. Your weapons are toys. You cannot defeat us. You can only choose how many of your people die before you admit what you did. The transmission ended. Hyun looked at Ambassador Tavik. The old Saurian had collapsed in his chair. His scales were completely white now. Other council members were running for the exits. The careful order of galactic civilization was breaking apart. Hyun's communication device buzzed. It was a message from Earth Command. 3 words only. Stop her. Somehow. He looked up at the stars through the crystal walls. Somewhere out there, Queen Mireille was counting down the hours. Somewhere out there, innocent people on the Saurian homeworld were going about their lives, not knowing their whole planet was about to become a funeral pyre. Hyun made a decision. He would find Mireille, he would talk to her. Not as a soldier. Not as an enemy. But as another human who understood that sometimes the weight of justice. The small ship cut through space like a knife. Hyun gripped the controls with steady hands. Behind him, Lieutenant Ji-won monitored the sensors. Next to him sat Queen Mireille. She had insisted on coming. Said she needed to face Taemin one last time. 2 hours until Taemin reaches Citadel Prime, Ji-won reported. Council forces are evacuating, but there's no way they'll get everyone off in time. Did they believe us? Hyun asked. About the entity? Half of them think it's a trick. The other half are too terrified to think straight. Mireille's voice was hollow. I did this. I made them so afraid of my fleet that they can't tell the difference between a threat and a warning anymore. We all made mistakes, Hyun said. The council. You, my people. We all let fear control us. Now we fix it. Ahead of them, Taemin's 6 warships appeared on the sensors. They hung in space like dark angels. Their void crystal weapons charged and ready. Hyun could feel something wrong about them even from this distance. Reality seemed to bend around them. The space itself looked sick. Incoming transmission, Ji-won said. It's Taemin. The Admiral's face filled the screen. His eyes burned with righteous fury. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was packed with soldiers who looked more like cultists than military personnel. My queen, Taemin said with mock respect. Come to watch the cleansing? Or perhaps to join me? It's not too late. Help me finish this. Help me make the galaxy remember what happens when you try to erase humanity. Taemin, listen to me, Mireille said urgently. The crystals are waking something. Something that will destroy everything. You have to stop. More lies to protect our enemies. I expected better from you. It's not a lie. Engineer Doyen found the data. Every battle feeds the entity. If you attack Citadel Prime with that much firepower, you'll tear open a hole between dimensions. The entity will pour through. Everyone dies. Including us, Taemin laughed. Even if that's true, maybe that's what this galaxy deserves. Maybe extinction is the only justice pure enough for what they did to us. That's not justice, Hyun said. That's insanity. And who are you to judge? Taemin's face twisted with hate. You're from old Earth. The Earth that forgot us. That let us die. You have no voice here. He has every voice here, Mireille said firmly. Because he's willing to die to save people he doesn't even know. That makes him more human than you'll ever be. I am what the nebula made me. What survival made me. I am the only honest one among us. Taemin leaned forward. You want to stop me? Come and try. But you'll have to go through me first. And we both know you don't have that in you anymore. You've gone soft. Just like your grandmother feared you would. The transmission cut off. He's accelerating, Ji-won reported. He'll reach firing range in 30 minutes. We need to get aboard his flagship, Hyun said. Can we use Mireille's authorization codes? Maybe, but even if we get close, his crew will stop us the moment we try to board. Not if I order them not to, Mireille said. She pulled out a small device from her uniform. This broadcasts my voice with command override. Most of the crew still respects the crown. They'll hesitate. That hesitation might be enough. And Taman will try to kill me, which means you two need to get to the reactor while I distract him. No, Hyun said. We go together. We face him together. That's not how this works. I'm the queen, my people, my responsibility, my sacrifice. Before Hyun could argue, space around them began to ripple. Purple lightning crackled across the hull. Jiwon gasped. The entity, she whispered. It's starting. The crystals are resonating. They're calling to it. Through the view screen, Hyun saw something impossible. Space was tearing. Not like an explosion, like fabric ripping. And through the tears, he saw something vast and hungry. Something that had waited in the dark between dimensions for longer than human civilization had existed. Contact Taman, Mirai ordered. Now. The Admiral appeared on screen. His face had changed. His eyes were glowing with purple light. The same light as the crystals, do you see it? Taman's voice had an echo to it. Multiple voices speaking at once. It's beautiful, pure, it wants to cleanse everything. Start fresh. No more lies. No more politics. No more pain. Just perfect emptiness. Taman, fight it, Mirai shouted. That's not you talking? Isn't it? Haven't I always wanted to burn away the corruption? Now I have the power to do it, all of it. Thank you, my queen. Thank you for giving me the weapons to complete our grandmother's true vision. Bora didn't want this. Bora wanted us to be remembered. And we will be. As the species that ended everything, Taman's ship fired. Not at Citadel Prime. At them. Hyun threw the ship into a hard turn. The purple beam missed by meters. Where it passed through space, reality screamed. The beam tore open more holes. More of the entity pushing through. We're out of time, Jiwon said. If we don't stop him in the next 10 minutes, it won't matter. The entity will be fully manifested, Hyun made a decision. He turned the ship directly toward Taman's flagship. What are you doing? Mirai asked. Something stupid. Hold on. He pushed the engines to maximum. The ship screamed in protest but accelerated. Taman's vessel fired again. Hyun dodged. Then again. Another dodge. They were getting closer. Close enough to see the details on the flagship's hull. Close enough to see the crystals embedded in its armor glowing brighter and brighter. Now! Hyun shouted. Mirai activated her override device. All crew of the Requiem's vengeance, this is Queen Mirai. Stand down. Lower shields. That's an order. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flagship's shields flickered. Dropped. Taman must have tried to override her command, but his crew was still loyal enough to hesitate. That hesitation was all they needed. Hyun crashed their ship directly into the flagship's hangar bay. Metal screamed. Alarms blared. But they were inside. Move. Mirai shouted. They ran from the wreckage. Soldiers appeared but froze when they saw their queen. She didn't wait for them to decide. She ran toward the bridge. Hyun and Jiwon ran toward engineering, the reactor room, where the crystal's power was concentrated. Behind them, they heard weapons fire. Mirai had engaged Taman's loyalists, drawing them away. Giving them a chance, the reactor room was massive. Dozens of void crystals floated in magnetic containment fields. They pulsed with sick purple light, and in the center, a maintenance access console. There, Jiwon pointed. We overload the safeties, it'll cascade to all the connected crystals. Shut them down permanently, and kill everyone in this room. That's why we're here. They ran to the console. Hyun's hands flew across the controls. He was good with ships, good with systems. But this was beyond anything he'd trained for. Alien technology mixed with human desperation, mixed with something that shouldn't exist. Got it, he said finally. 30-second timer. Then the reactor goes critical. The feedback will... An explosion rocked the room. The door burst open. Taman stood there. His armor was torn. Blood covered his face. But his eyes still glowed with that terrible purple light. I killed her, he said. His voice was still wrong. Still echoing. The queen is dead. The old ways are dead. Only the new truth remains. Only the purge. Mirai? Hyun felt his heart break. No. Yes, I cut her down like the traitor she became. And now I'll kill you. And then I'll kill worlds. It's what we were meant to do. Taman raised his weapon. But before he could fire, something hit him from behind. He stumbled, turned. Mirai stood there, bleeding, dying, but alive. She held a broken piece of metal like a spear. I'm not dead yet, she said. And I won't let you destroy what my grandmother built. Won't let you destroy what humanity could become. Humanity? Taman laughed. We stopped being human in the nebula. We became something better. Something pure. No, Mireille said softly. We became survivors. That's all. And survival means knowing when to stop fighting. She lunged at him. Taman fired. The beam caught her in the chest, but her momentum carried her forward. The metal spear drove into his armor. Through it. Into his heart they fell together. Timer, Ji-won shouted. It's running! 15 seconds, Hyun ran to Mireille. She was still breathing. Barely. Get off the ship, she whispered. Blood bubbled at her lips. You did it. The crystals will shut down. The entity will be pushed back. You saved everyone. Not everyone. You're dying. I was always going to die. This way has meaning. She smiled. It was peaceful. Tell my people I'm sorry. And tell them to forgive, to let go. To be human again. 10 seconds, we need to go. Ji-won grabbed Hyun's arm. He wanted to stay. Wanted to carry Mireille with them. But she shook her head. Go. Live. Be better than we were. 5 seconds. They ran. Behind them, the reactor reached critical mass. The crystals shrieked. The entity howled as it was pushed back between dimensions. Purple light flooded everything. Then silence. Hyun and Ji-won stumbled into an escape pod. Launched. Behind them, the flagship exploded. Not the violent explosion of normal weapons. A quiet implosion. The void crystals collapsing in on themselves, taking the entity's connection with them. Across the system, the other warships went dark. Their crystals dead. Their weapons silent. The Death Fleet was finished. On Citadel Prime, 3 billion people looked up at the sky and watched the battle end. They didn't know what happened. Didn't know who had saved them. But they knew they were alive. In the escape pod, Hyun and Ji-won watched the debris field. The lost human colony's queen returned, commanding a death fleet of HFY, humanity fuck yeah, science fiction story. Outline Part 1. The ghost signal setting, the year is 2847. The Galactic Council maintains fragile peace among dozens of alien civilizations. Humanity holds a modest position, respected for their adaptability and tenacity, but considered a mid-tier species in terms of military might. Opening Commander Hyun of the Earth Defense Fleet receives an encrypted signal from deep space, coordinates pointing to the Ashara Nebula, a region declared off-limits for 3 centuries. The signal contains ancient Earth colony codes from the Daehan Initiative, a colonization mission that vanished 300 years ago with 50,000 humans aboard. Inciting incident against Council warnings, Hyun leads a small reconnaissance team to investigate. What they find shakes the foundation of galactic politics. A thriving human civilization spanning 12 worlds, technologically advanced beyond anything the Council has seen, and ruled by Queen Mireille, a woman who claims to be the direct descendant of the original colonists. The shock, but Mireille doesn't come in peace. She arrives at the Council station aboard a flagship that dwarfs anything in the known galaxy, flanked by a fleet of warships that seem to bend physics itself. She makes a single demand: the Galactic Council must answer for abandoning her people to die in the Ashara Nebula 3 centuries. Like a cliffhanger, Hyun realizes with horror that the abandonment was no accident. It was a deliberate act by the Council's founding species to eliminate what they saw as humanity's dangerous expansionist potential. Part 2. The Dead Zone's secret flashback sequences. Through Mireille's testimony and recovered logs, the truth emerges. The original Daehan colony ship was sabotaged by Council agents and forced into the Ashara Nebula, a region filled with spatial anomalies that made escape and communication impossible. The survival for the first 50 years. The colonists struggled. Then they discovered the void crystals, exotic matter within the nebula that could power technology far beyond conventional physics. The survivors didn't just adapt. They evolved, building an empire in isolation. The cost but survival came at a price. The colonists had to become ruthless. They fought off predatory alien species native to the nebula, scavenged dead civilizations, and made impossible choices. Mireille's grandmother, First Queen Bora, led them through the darkest times, creating a military culture where weakness meant extinction. Present-day Revelation Council Ambassador Tavik, a reptilian saurian, attempts to negotiate, offering reparations. Mirai refuses. She doesn't want money or apologies, she wants justice. She demands the council surrender the coordinates of every species and individual involved in the original conspiracy. Rising tensions, Hyun finds himself torn. His loyalty is to Earth and humanity, but he sees the danger in Mirai's path. Her fleet could annihilate entire civilizations. Meanwhile, his second-in-command Lieutenant Ji-won secretly sympathizes with Mirai's cause, having lost family to council politics. Cliffhanger: Mirai gives the council 7 days to comply. If they refuse, she will begin systematically destroying council worlds, starting with the Saurian homeworld. Her fleet deploys across the galaxy, positioning themselves like a noose around civilization's throat. Part 3. The Queen's War, the Council's response. The Council refuses to capitulate and mobilizes its combined armadas, over 10,000 warships from a dozen species. They believe their numerical superiority will overwhelm Mirai's fleet of 300 vessels. They are catastrophically wrong. The first battle, the Battle of Kryn Station, becomes legendary. Mirai's ships utilize void crystal technology that allows them to phase through conventional weapons, strike from quantum displacement, and generate singularity weapons that consume entire battle groups. The Council loses 4,000 ships in 6 hours. Mirai loses 12. Humanity's dilemma: Earth's government faces an impossible choice. The Council demands humanity denounce Mirai and join the war against her. But public opinion on Earth is divided. Many see her as a victim fighting back, while others fear she's become a monster who will drag all humanity into a genocidal war. Hyun's mission: Hyun is given a secret mission: infiltrate Mirai's flagship and assassinate her if necessary. It's the only way to stop the war without billions of casualties. Hyun accepts, but only because he wants to understand her, to see if there's another way. Inside the Death Fleet, Hyun surrenders himself to Mirai's forces and is brought aboard her flagship, the Eternal Requiem. What he finds stuns him: not a tyrant, but a woman carrying the weight of 3 centuries of suffering. Her people are not conquerors, they're survivors seeking acknowledgement of their pain. The personal connection: Mirai and Hyun share a quiet moment. She reveals that she's tired of war, tired of hatred, tired of being strong. She never wanted this throne or this fleet, but she made a promise to her dying grandmother to ensure their people's sacrifice would never be forgotten or repeated. Cliffhanger: Hyun realizes Mirai's true plan. She's not trying to conquer the galaxy. She's forcing the Council to publicly admit their crime and reform their system. But a radical faction within her own fleet, led by Admiral Taemin, wants total annihilation of the Council species. Taemin plans to mutiny and seize control of the Death Fleet. Part 4. Broken Crowns. The coup: Taemin makes his move during a council of war. He locks down the bridge of the Eternal Requiem and seizes 6 of the most powerful void crystal warships. His message is clear: Mirai has gone soft. He will finish what she started: the complete eradication of the Council species. Unlikely. Alliance: Hyun and Mirai escape the coup together with loyal crew members, including Captain Nari and Engineer Doyun. They find themselves being hunted by both sides: Taemin's extremists and the Council's armada. The truth about the void crystals. While in hiding, Doyun reveals a horrifying secret. The void crystals are not just power sources, they're alive. They're fragments of an ancient imprisoned entity that feeds on violence and hatred. Every battle fought with void crystal weapons strengthens the entity. If Taemin continues his war of extinction, he'll free something that will consume the entire galaxy. The race: Mirai and Hyun must reach the Council headquarters on Citadel Prime and convince them of the threat. But they have no ships, no army, and every major power hunting them. They're forced to rely on guerrilla tactics and the help of sympathetic humans and aliens who believe in their cause. Character growth during their journey. Ji-won, who initially supported Mirai's revenge, sees the destruction up close and realizes that vengeance has spiraled into something uncontrollable. She helps Mirai and Hyun reach the Council, providing critical intelligence. The revelation: they reach Citadel Prime just as Taemin's fleet arrives in orbit. The Council is hours away from annihilation. Mirai broadcasts the truth about the void crystals to all sides, but Taemin doesn't care. He's become consumed by the entity's influence. Believing himself a righteous destroyer, Cliffhanger: Taemin begins the bombardment of Citadel Prime. Billions will die unless Mirai can stop her own creation. The death fleet that she built to protect her people has become the instrument of their damnation. Part 5. The Queen's Choice. The final gambit. Mirai reveals she kept one failsafe. A master key that can shut down all void crystal reactors simultaneously, including the ones powering her own heart. She's cybernetically enhanced to interface with the fleet. Using it will stop Taemin but will kill her instantly. Hyun's refusal. Hyun refuses to let her sacrifice herself. He proposes a desperate alternative. Overload the void crystals in a controlled feedback loop that will sever the entity's connection without killing Mirai. But it requires someone to manually pilot a ship into the heart of Taemin's flagship and detonate the cascade at point-blank range. The volunteers Nari volunteers for the suicide mission, but so do dozens of others, both from Mirai's people and from Earth's forces who've come to understand the truth. They've realized this isn't about humanity versus the Council anymore. It's about all sapient life versus extinction. The Battle of Citadel Prime. A ragtag alliance forms. Council forces, Earth's fleet, and Mirai's loyalists unite against Taemin's death fleet. The battle is brutal and desperate. The void entity begins manifesting physically as reality tears apart around the fleet engagement. The sacrifice Nari leads the suicide squadron, but at the last moment Taemin, briefly breaking free of the entity's control, realizes what he's become. In a final act of redemption, he turns his flagship's weapons inward, helping create the feedback cascade that severs the entity's influence. The explosion is cataclysmic, destroying Taemin's flagship and damaging dozens of ships. But the void crystals go dark across the galaxy. The death fleet becomes just metal and fire, dangerous but no longer unstoppable. The aftermath. Mirai survives, but her power is broken. The void crystal reserves of the Ashara Nebula are sealed away by Joint Council human agreement. She stands trial not as a conqueror, but as a witness to history, justice, and reconciliation. The Council publicly acknowledges their crime against the Daihan colonists. Reparations are made. The survivors of the Ashara civilization are welcomed into the galactic community as equals. Reforms are passed to prevent such conspiracies from ever happening again. Personal resolution.